hold on, my seat, it feels like it's really low. Okay. Aggregate functions, compartmentalizing and categorizing those aggregate functions, logical operators, and sorting and limiting our queries. So I don't know if you all can see my screen. I think you can, but let me know if you can't. See it. Okay, cool. So I'm gonna start with the something that you all are already doing, whether you probably don't realize it or not. But I'm gonna start with the very high level with sorting and limiting results. So there are often times to where you might have to limit your results that you get within your output or your data set. And it could be attributed to, let's say you're doing an analysis and you want to figure out like the last time somebody did something or the last day, or you want to order something by like ABC order. That's when you would use your sorting feature. And the way you would use your sorting feature is essentially the same concept that you use your filters. However, you say, and when I say the same concept that you use for your filters, I mean we sort in order by the column, same way we do with our filters. So here we have our syntax here, and we're saying select. Remember, this is the wild card, which is a star. It's like essentially pull everything. Select star from our table name, order by this column ascending. So it's AST. The other option that you can order by is descending, which is DEST. And it's essentially exactly what it sounds like. Order this column by ascending order or descending order. So that order by is essentially a clause. And that's essentially what you would use to order your data. If you wanted an ABC order, or if you wanted in, if it's integers and you want it in like numerical order, that essentially order by will allow you to facilitate that. Pretty easy. And you basically take that order by and you put it at the end of your it's the very last step of your code. So you would have to put it at the very end. You will put it after your, oh, we haven't gotten to the joins or anything, have we? You put that order by will be your very last thing that you put within your code, always. Um and it's top. So this top is a limit. And you know how when you go within a database and you right click on your tables and you select your top 1,000 rows, that top is literally called a limit. And in the event that you are performing an analysis, and let's say I need only 10 records, I want the top 10 or, top 20, or with the way that SQL, Microsoft automatically does it, it takes that top 1,000. That is essentially a limit. And what it does is exactly what it says it does. It is a clause and it only brings back that many amount of records. Um, so yeah. And the reason that I letting y'all identify that because you're already doing it, but I want you to be able to identify it once you start doing the work, because there are times to where oh, this is my laptop. There are times to where someone might say, okay, well, I only need the top 10 or I only need the top whatever. That order by or that limit will be able to provide that to you, especially when you combine them together. Any questions? Okay. Also, I wanted to take this as an opportunity as well to reiterate those foundational concepts. I know there was a little break between our first session and this session. So I wanted to take it as an opportunity to kind of blow the dust off and refresh what we talked about in session one. So in session one, we focused on those DML languages, data manipulation language. And essentially what that encompasses is this select, insert, update, and delete. Now, ideally within your day-to-day life of an analytic professional, unless you're like a data engineer or a data administrator, DBA, database administrator, or something along those lines. 90%, 99 point, 100. I really want to say 100, but I'm like a data person. Saying 100% always kind of made me cringe. But by 99.9% of the time, your bread and butter will be your select statement. And the reason being is because once you land your roles, ideally, the way that organizations work is it allows you to, like, if you come in, okay, you get your role. You get your role. This is your offer letter. You are a data analyst. You come in and the goal is you have access to the database. However, the way that the organizations typically see it is they try to protect their data. So they provide you with the minimum amount of like permissions you can have. So therefore you will probably be able to have read only access, which only encompasses like that select. But anyway, so we are selecting. This star is like that wild card. Select star from our table. Period. All day long. Remember, every single thing we do refers back to columns or tables all day long. Inserting into our table name, our columns, and our values. This you've been doing this with your coding challenge. So insert into table name, columns, values. Update. Update modifies that existing data in that database. Update table name. Set this column to this value where this column equals this value. And remember, these quotes here are called strings. Where you making your data a string because it's the data type. Now we get down here to delete, which you will never hardly ever do this, but you need to know because it encompasses the DML language. Delete from this table where this column equals John, where this condition is met. This is a condition. And this is going to hyperfixate us or hyperfocus. This is going to leverage our session tonight as well, because tonight we're going to do logical operators, which is basically conditions. Any questions regarding like the structure or anything? Oh God, I'm wasting. Why did it look like that? Any questions? Okay. So that is that high level refresher from last week or the last time we met. So what I'm introducing y'all to tonight is logical operators. So last week, or the last time we met, I keep saying last week, we did not meet last week. On our last session, there was a question asked regarding, let's say I have a question or I have to do an analysis where I have to have this condition and that condition and this condition is that and that condition. And the question was asked, is that possible? And the answer is absolutely yes. And as a matter of fact, once you get within your roles and get your foot in the door, most of your queries will look very stacked up, which is why I kind of coach y'all to like stack them up neatly, because your queries essentially build upon like the foundational knowledge that you already have. So the way that you do that is essentially using your logical operators. So what are logical operators? Logical operators are essentially the concept of combining multiple conditions together. That is it. That is all. Now, y'all remember last session where I introduced you all to conditions. That condition allows you to filter out certain data based on the values or based on whatever that condition is that you define. Where I said, okay, bring me all the students that have a B. Bring me all the students that majored in computer science. Bring me all the students. And you said, select these columns from this table where this column equals this. That's a condition all day long. A logical operator is essentially multiple conditions. You basically are stacking your conditions. That's a logical operator. And that's when you get into the portion of your analysis to allow you to get extremely specific in like what your data sets are, because now you hardly ever will just like pull data from a table and that's what you need to do whatever you're doing, whether it's a report or whether it's to answer a question. You will hardly ever do that. You will always use a condition to pull out exactly what you need. So here, before I even get into like the spiel of what these logical operators are, what do y'all think that this query is doing? This syntax is doing. Oh yeah, y'all see my arrow right here.
Um, excuse me. I think you're asking for the query to select all the data from employees um, in the IT department and a salary greater than 50,000.
Yep. 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 That's it. That and so the logical operators that we're going to discuss tonight is and, or, not, between, and in. These are the five. These are the five that you will mostly use. And essentially ensures that all those conditions are met. Like you said, within this business case, it's essentially like, hey, can I get a list of all the employees that's in the IT department that make greater than $50,000? And you take that qualitative X and you write your code to capture it. But that's exactly what that is doing. And if I use and as a logical operator, it's essentially the same way we use and in our like natural language. Like if I say I want this and this, that means I'm getting both of those. When you write your code, it's the same way. If I say I need this and this, then both conditions have to be met in order for that data to be returned. So the only data that's returned is when it meets all of your conditions. You can have as many as you want. You can say where this column equals this, and salary is greater than 50,000, and project is this. And you can say and as many times as you want. Now, every time you say and, your data set is going to get smaller because you're only getting data that meets all of those conditions. It has to meet everything. This or, what do you think that this syntax is doing? This one right here.
The employees that either work in IT or HR.
Yep. Now, when I say or does not have to meet both of those conditions. It's literally it can meet this condition or it can meet that condition. I want them both. And has to meet everything. I need this and this and this. Or can meet either or. So typically when you use or, it's like you're trying to, it's like any of these conditions can be met. Any of these conditions can be met. Not. What do you think that this syntax is doing?
Um, you're excluding the IT department.
Yeah. Now, another way you can actually do this, and I'm going to type it in the chat. The other way you can actually do this is the equal sign and a exclamation point. And that's essentially the same thing. Where department, you wouldn't say not, you would say where department. And instead of the equal sign, you'll say equals and the exclamation point. But it essentially functions the same way. And that's exactly what it does. It eliminates, If they are in their department, I don't want the data, you know. Between what do you think now? Between used to, I don't know why this was so hard to me. Like, I don't even know why, because it's really not. But between, what do you think that this syntax is doing?
Where salaries are between 40K and 70K.
Mm-hmm.
Send me all employees. The asterisk makes it all employees.
Yep. Yep. The asterisk definitely brings everything. You're absolutely correct. This between is used to check values in a range. So just like you got to hear where this column between this range. Now the data type always has to be an integer or a date or something like that, because you're literally going like between two things. And typically, when you're looking for between, or when you would use between, is when you're literally looking for a range of something. I need a data set of people that are born, that came to the doctor in Q4 of 2024. And you put your date in there, put your column, and then say between, whatever your values are. Or I need a output of people who make the salary between this range. Whatever your range is, you will put it literally where column between first value and second value. That's between. And what do y'all think this syntax is doing?
All of the employees in IT, HR, and finance.
Yeah. Now, when I say in, and I open up my parentheses, I'm listing out, you notice here how I'm listing out values. Where this column, in any of these values, if it meets any of these values, I want it back. This type of a logical operator is used in the event of I have one column, I got one column, but I'm looking for multiple things in that column. That's where you will use your in logical operator. Now, when we're filtering data, we say select whatever our columns are from the table where this condition is met, where this column between this and this, or whatever your condition is. However, you can have multiple conditions. I could say, where I select all from this table where salary is between 40 and 70K and the department is IT, and like I can say all of that. Now, it's best to remember that when you are filtering with multiple conditions, you only have where one time. You don't keep putting where this condition is and where this, you only put where one time. Because if you try to put where multiple times, it's gonna throw you an error. But y'all will probably see that once you get in there. Any questions on this?
I did have a question before, but it got answered through it because when I was doing the homework and just like my own freelance practice,
Mm-hmm.
I would always be confused on like what I could use to start the the syntax, or like what I could use with select. But um like I'm guessing the only thing that I have to worry about with using like the beginning of the syntax and like my what I'm asking the query to do is just make sure like select can only be used with where, and I can't use update with select. I can't use insert into with select. I can't use like delete with
Mm-hmm.
select. I can only use like
One.
does that make sense what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think, yeah, it does. It makes sense. It does, because I think that a lot of people, what I've seen is that a lot of people have like a hard time like conceptualizing it. And the reason being is because it's like even sometimes you might insert or update data or whatever, you like, oh, I didn't get anything. And it's like because you're not selecting. Like you're only doing one thing. They all literally are doing like different things. It they can't coexist like at all.
Mm-hmm.
So it makes a lot of sense that like that was a gray area for you because the way that the way that it's like presented, like even with like if I've even seen on LinkedIn where they're like DML language is DML language, the way that it's presented, it's not clearly separated like that.
Right.
Yep. Like it's like, okay, well, this all encapsulates everything. However, like in real life, they can't live together.
Yeah.
And when you think about it, it's because they are literally working against each other. Like, and I never said it like that, but they literally are. Because when you're inserting data, if you're inserting, how you gonna pull it out? Like how like they can't, when you think about it. Yep. So yeah, that's not uncommon to like to have that gray area. Yeah, that's not.
Yeah. I learned the hard way.
I know, me too. I got some stories. Oh my god. Oh my god. And this the thing, Ayo. You gonna keep learning. Like I'm 12 years in and I still learn stuff. You gonna keep like I think that people feel a lot of pressure, and I'm gonna get back on because like I deviate because ADHD. But anyway, people feel a pressure sometimes to try to learn everything, all the things. Even when I talk to people and they're like, okay, well, I'm learning SQL and I'm learning Power BI and I'm learning Tableau and I'm learning Python. I'm like, baby, wait. Like, wait, like, let's focus on one thing at a time. And even when you are focusing on one thing at a time, unless you like live in a cave and only are writing code and have no exposure to like life, you will never learn all the functionalities. Like, it's
Mhm.
impossible. So, yeah, you'll always be learning. Like literally, like I still learn things to this day, or like little tips or whatever. And I'm like, oh, I didn't know that. Or oh, that's cool because everybody does stuff different over here. Or if I'm right, somebody like if I'm doing a project and somebody's sharing their screen and they writing in code and they do something a little different, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna do that next time. You know.
Mhm.
But yeah. But you're good though. But yeah, it's a common thing. All right. Was everyone able to access the VM? Hey, y'all can see my screen. Okay. I don't even know what it is. Okay. So this is your object explorer over here. You remember this is like where everything is pretty much stored. And regardless of what your platform is or what your dialect is, like I've written code in Microsoft. Microsoft is really like the go-to. I actually saw somebody make a video about that recently. They were saying how um she was basically saying how in her I think she got 10 years experience. And she was basically saying like in her experience, what she's seen is most companies tend to go to like a Microsoft shop. And she was saying how in her experience, Power BI is more popular. And she also said it's easier, and I do agree. And I said the same thing. I said I was having a conversation with one of my students, and they were trying to learn Tableau, and I was like, hold off, just focus on SQL, and then learn Power BI because once you get like that understanding, it'll be easier for you to understand the full concept. But anyway, I've been in Microsoft, AWS, which is Amazon's cloud system, Google cloud system, and they all pretty much are set up just like this. Oracle, they all set up just like this. So over here, you got your Object Explorer. When you expand that, you have your databases here. And these black boxes are your actual databases. So to start out tonight, let's go within our healthcare system database. Okay. So go within your healthcare system database. Okay. So I am going to write the use case in the chat. And we're in the, I'm gonna tell you the database. We're in the healthcare system database. However, I'm not gonna tell you the table, because I do want you to practice like the data investigation. So I'm gonna write the use case in the chat. Okay. So provide me with an output of all the patients who have had an abnormal MRI test. So we're in the healthcare system database, but I want you to do some data investigation to figure out what tables. So we have our database here and our tables here. You can either right click and select your top 1,000 rows to like look at your actual data, or you can expand your columns like this so you can see your columns and get an understanding on what columns exist and what your relationships are between your tables. Remember, the relationships with data relationships are essentially just like how humans have relationships. What do y'all have in common? When humans are related, they have a common ancestor, a common family member. Tables are the same way. They got something in common to make them relate. So either select in top 1,000, or expand your columns and look at your columns and figure out which table answers your question. So this is data investigation, and you will always do this, even when you get your role. Like nobody's gonna come and say, "Hey, can you retrieve the data from this table?" They're gonna ask the question or have this type of business like that, or even your technical assessments. They're gonna be structured just like that, to where somebody asks the questions and then you do the work. So yeah, I've said in the chat. So provide me with an output of all the patients who have had an abnormal MRI test. Okay. And I'm gonna write the code with y'all. So I'm gonna go on mute. Okay. Has anybody found the table yet? Y'all still looking or need some help?
Is it the healthcare system medical test?
Yep, it's the medical test table. It's in the healthcare system database, and it is your medical test table. Yep. So right click it, select your top 1,000 rows. Do not reinvent the wheel because I know you good for that over there. Do not reinvent the wheel. Literally build your syntax. Like, okay, I got whoever abnormal MRI test. So literally like build your query piece by piece. Like, what's the first thing they're looking for? Oh, okay, that works. Now let me go add the second thing. Oh, okay, that works. Now let me go ahead build it piece by piece. But yep, you are exactly right. That medical test table. And the question is, which patients, provide me an output of which patients who have had an abnormal MRI test. And remember, when you have your values have to actually match what the values are within that table. Like if it's formatted a certain way, it has to be like that too in your code. Which logical operator would you use? Yeah, good.
Yeah, I'm still trying to figure it out.
Okay. Let me know if you want to talk through it.
Okay. So,
Or if you want to share your screen. Huh?
oh, should I share my screen?
Yeah, let's talk through it. Let's see
Okay.
what you're doing. Let's see. You got an apple, don't you? I hear them hard. Like, I don't. You got an apple. I can tell. It's like the mouse. Is it mice? They're so hard. Like I can hear them.
I actually don't. It's a Lenovo, but it's like barely used.
Oh, so it's like brand
Yeah.
new. Okay, let me see what
Yeah,
you're
it's
talking
barely used.
about. Okay,
Okay.
so let's talk about your code. So
Okay.
okay, so really, I'm gonna be honest. You could use line 1 through 6 and just build upon it. That's what I always do.
Okay.
So cancel out, get rid of 8 through 10. You can actually delete all that. I had a feeling you was over there doing that. I knew it. I was like, I know she over there trying to build it from scratch. Okay. So we have our query here because really I can get all of these columns. So we have our query here. Now remember with the top 1,000, that's the limit. So get rid of that. Okay. Now, the use case is provide me an output of all the patients who have had an abnormal MRI test. So take your code from line 1 and push it down to line 2 and document what you're doing first. And you did a good job with commenting out too, because a lot of people like get that mixed up too. There you go. Now double dash it out because it's only one line. I'm gonna get some water. Ow, shoot. Okay. Now close out your comment. Press it. You know how to do it. The star and then a backslash. Okay. Now you got your query. Now let's literally build on it. So your use case is, hey, I need to output of all the patients who had an abnormal MRI test. Look at your data. Which columns within your table answers that question?
So patient ID.
Mm-mm.
No.
What
Okay,
made you say
result.
your result for sure? And what else?
And all patients who had
MRI, abnormal MRI.
test name.
Yep. Yep.
Okay.
What made you say patient ID? I just want to understand your thought process.
Because I was just thinking you wanted to know who the patients were, like have their
Oh,
ID.
yeah. I do want that though. But you, I'm
Okay.
gonna get it because you got it in your select statement. So I'm gonna get it anyway.
Okay.
Yep. I figured that's why. I was like, yep. So anything that you put in your select statement, I'm gonna get in my output.
Okay.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So you're right. It is the result column and the test name column. So
Yeah.
start filtering out by that.
Okay. So with my where.
Absolutely. Let me share my screen so you can see the code.
Okay.
But yeah, absolutely. Start with where. That's the first thing you do. You are correct. Where? Yep. So I want where patients who have had an abnormal MRI test. And let me know if you want to talk through it.
Okay. Test. Okay, so this is a dumb question, but I
It's
cannot
not.
find where I run the test.
Let me
I
share my
forgot
screen.
what button was.
It is not. Why? Don't ever think it's a dumb question. You learning something new right here.
Oh, execute.
Yep. And depending on how your keyboard is set up, I just don't say it on the call because people's keyboards are different. I don't be having time to get into that. But you can press it right here, or you can press F5.
F5.
Yep.
Okay.
But it's literally this right here.
I don't know. I don't see execute on my screen. Not
Right
there.
here. It's in your taskbar. Can you see my screen? Yeah, you can. Right here.
Yeah, my screen. Is my taskbar like closed though?
Let me
I
share
don't
your
know.
screen.
Okay. Maybe I'm tripping.
Um,
Oh wait, hold on. Full screen. Okay, never mind.
oh,
Never
why did
mind.
it look like that? Okay, yeah, you're right. I don't know. It did look weird. There
Okay.
you go. Oh, perfect. Okay.
Okay.
Perfect. Now, okay, let me share my screen. Okay. So I did the same thing. I just stacked mine differently, but perfect. Now, let me get okay. So I want people who have had an MRI test, abnormal MRI test, and tested in the year of 2024. Wait, hold on. Let me make sure I got some data in there for this first. Hold on. Yeah. And tested in the year of 2024. So what would you do? Which logical operator would you use for that?
In
Nope.
between.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. And the reason why is because it's literally a range. If I get between, if I say the year of 2024, the way that our brain absorbs it is somebody just put 2024 where test date 2024 or something like that. That's how our brain absorbs it. However, the way you have to write your code is literally where test date and then a range of whatever compiles like your what are you looking for.
Right.
Mm-hmm. But yep, it's between. So just build on your existing syntax using the logical operator. I'll say 2024. Also, this is a good time to check out your data types and make sure that your values align. Like whatever you write your code, your oh, I done said 2021. Whatever you write your code needs to match how you write your how the code is actually in the data in the table.
It's saying I'm getting an error
Let's see,
when I
bud.
put between.
Let's see what you got.
I just put between.
No, put your okay. So between is gonna be another layer. It's gonna be another filter. So you're gonna have to take your between and put it on line 10 and do and because you're literally saying where test name, the same concept you got where test name equals MRI scan and this column equals abnormal and this column between. So you gotta list your column names for one, the column name that you applying it to. Also, look at the way that your comment out line 10. Just put your two dashes in front of line 10 and comment out line 10 and re-execute your code. Go like this in front of line 10 and then re-execute your code.
You said show what? I'm sorry.
Comment out line 10, put your two dashes in front of line 10 and then re-execute your code. And so you can see how the data actually is in the table.
My two dash.
Yep, right there.
But oh wait,
Mm-hmm.
no. Okay.
Yep.
Where dash is.
Yep, like that in the chat.
Okay.
Put your two dashes first. It ain't gonna work. There you go. Not like that. Look at the hyphens rather. Put your two hyphens in front of line 10. Mm-mm. That check the chat out. You
Okay.
see it?
Oh,
Mm-hmm. There you go. Now execute.
oh.
Now, when you only going to get rid of one line of code, that's what you do. Now look at how your data is within that table. Your values have to be the same way. So we have where this column equals MRI scan, and this column equals abnormal, and this column. So what column are you applying this to?
Wait, can you say that again?
What column are you putting this logical operator on?
Um, Testing?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So should I put in between test date?
Put and test date between. Put test date before.
Okay.
Yep. Because we still the same way you got, and this column equals this. Yep.
Test date between.
Between. And I'm gonna share my screen, but do it just like this.
Okay.
And test date between your two values. Make sure that your values align with how it actually is in the data. Yep.
Okay. Okay.
It's still you essentially at this point it's a flow where this column equals this and this column equals that and this column between this. Like it's essentially a flow. See. Are you good?
I am not good. My thing is not updating.
Let me see. Share your screen.
Okay. Okay. What's its name? I know I'm doing something wrong. I just not clicking.
Okay. So put test date before between and test date between. Yeah. Think about it. Oh, hold on. Wait. That ain't gonna execute anyway because your 10 is commented out. Your line 10 commented out. But it's wrong anyway. But it's commented out. So it wasn't gonna execute anyway. So get rid of your double dashes. There you go. Now, so we got where this column equals MRI scan and this column equals abnormal and test state between. You are like 89, 90% there. After you're between, put your ranges on what you want. So when you look at the way that your data is structured in your table, it's year, month, day. So your data in your code has to reflect that as well.
Um.
Yep. So we
So I
getting
can go one.
yes. Yep.
So.
Yep. And whatever your end value is, which is 12/31/01. I mean, not 01, 12/31/24, 2024. But yep, you on the right track. You gotta put and then your second value on there. Yep.
Oh yeah.
31.
Mhm.
Do 31, 12/31.
Oh yeah.
Do you had it right. Do month, year, month. Yeah, you had it right. 12/31. There you go. Now you're getting the data because of your data type. You got to put your strings around those data. It's basically saying that it is. If you're trying to treat it like an integer, but it's not.
Mhm.
Yep. But that's it. There you go. Perfect. Perfect. Chef's kiss.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Do you know what you did?
Yeah,
Do you understand how you had to structure that logical operator for between?
I did.
Once
I
you
think I
like,
need to practice it more.
yep. But once you like kind of catch the vibe, because really you just a pattern. Even regardless of, I don't care if your code is 6 lines or 600 lines. I ran stored procedures with like 900 lines of code. Your stuff literally just builds upon it. Like you literally just layer stuff, just like how you did. And if
Okay.
you wanted another one, you just add the flow. And this column equals this. And this column equals that. And like you literally like everything goes back to tables and columns. Everything.
Mhm.
So you're good. You did good.
It was harder than the homework.
Really? No way. No way. No way. You did good though. So those logical operators help support. That's not really considered advanced filtering, but it does allow you to be explicit in like what data you actually need as you navigate this space. And always remember everything that we learn, we're literally stacking, like we're literally building on top of each other. And as we progress and get into more intermediate or advanced concepts, you still very much so do this. you still very much so do this. Like you still, if you're filtering out your data, you still very much so do that right after your from, or right after, whatever your other concepts are. But that's logical operators. You did good though.
Yeah.
I used to have I used to have it between joins and window functions. They used to give me a run for my money. And I had a whiteboard. I literally just don't have it anymore like recently, and that's because I moved my office. But I had a whiteboard with like all those syntaxes literally written down, and I also had a bookmark saved. Like I would use a point of reference all the time, all the
Yeah,
time.
that's what I need.
Yep, it's okay. It's okay. So in practice too, like you said, I'm gonna have to practice. Yep, you are. You are. And you'll get it. But you are. You are. I still practice. Um, so next, aggregate functions. So logical operators and aggregate functions, those were our high level objectives that I wanted to introduce you all to tonight. So what are aggregate functions? Aggregate functions are essentially used to perform calculations across data sets. And that is when you get into the analysis. How many it is? What's the average of that? What's the count of that? What's the minimum of that? What's the max of that? How much does this cost? Sorry, whatever. That's when you get into that analysis part because it allows you to calculate across your data sets. Now, the way that aggregate functions are compiled is just like any other function, we're going to get into multiple functions as we progress this phase. But we have our function here, and we have whatever column we're applying that function to into parentheses. So here we have select, which is like our select statement. That's what we're gonna be doing. Select sum. Sum does exactly what it does even in our natural language. It creates the sum of this column. So this syntax is essentially calculating the sum of this column from this table. Average. Select average. This is our aggregate function. This is our function here. Remember, functions always they're pink. Select average. This column in parentheses. Select average from this column. From this table. Count. Count essentially gives you the count of records in that table. Select count, and then you put your star because I want a count of everything from this table. Max and min do exactly what they say they do. Give me the maximum of this column from this table. Min, give me the min, this column from this table. Any questions? Now for this, let's actually go into our orders DB, our orders database. This is where we will be um this is where we will be doing this one. Okay. So let me know if um you're able to get to your orders DB.
Yes, it's the customer's orders, DB.
Yep. Okay. Oh, that's how it shows up on your end. Okay, cool. Okay, yep, that's it. Now, the first use case, did you have any questions about this aggregate function?
Not yet.
Okay. And if you do, just ask it and we'll walk through it together. Because I think that's how people that helps. That's how To me, that's how I absorb. Like if I got a question, I'm gonna ask it right then and there, and I'm like, oh, okay, we can work through it together. Now, this first one, I actually give you the table because, yeah, can you provide me the sum of the total amount? It's actually found in the orders table. Comment out all of your columns with those two dashes except for order amount. I mean total amount for this use case. Because I'm gonna show you how to do the other one. Don't get rid of them, just comment them out with those two dashes. And let me know when you were able to execute it. Were you able to get it?
Oh, I'm still. Are we counting total amount? Or
Yep.
is it a different?
Yep. Literally the total amount. That's the column. And it's in the orders table.
Okay.
Don't get the count. Did you say count? Don't get the count, get the sum.
Oh, some.
Yep.
Oh, did not pay attention.
But I can see how count into it because technically, like when we count, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and some because I thought about that. I thought about that. But technically, like when we if I count something, I'm counting some. But the way that SQL does it is literally calculates at each of those columns and sums them together.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, you're not crazy.
Okay. I got it. Finally got it.
You got it,
Yeah, I
honey.
think.
Was it?
Okay.
Let me get rid of that. So let me use it as a. Was it like this?
Yeah, I got that, but mine. Okay, yeah, yeah. No column name, yeah.
Yep. Now let's talk about that. When you apply a function, it doesn't provide a column name. And the
Mm-hmm.
reason that it doesn't is because it literally don't know what you're doing. Like it literally doesn't know what you're calculating, what you're using it for. So it's your job to make your data or make your output clear for whatever you're doing. So you would name it as and then put your column name. So whatever you're calculating, this is sum of total amount. So you would literally add sum total amount. Now this add or whatever the calculation is. This as is called an alias. And
Mm-hmm.
this type of language, that alias is gonna come up again next session when we do our joins as well. But it's no different than how we use the alias in our natural language. You go to the DMV, you filling out your paperwork. This is my first name, this is my last name, this is my alias. This is my first name, this is my last name, but I go by this or call me this. Whatever. Alias is the same way.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yep, you're not updating the table. You're not changing the way the data is housed in the table. You're literally just calling it something else. That's the as. That's the alias.
Mm-hmm.
It's gonna come up again also next week with our joins too. It's gonna come up again next week with our joins. But yeah, that's literally an alias. So this is the aggregate function. Now let's take it a step further. Okay. So we got our aggregate function, and ideally, what that does is it provides that one statistic. That's all it does. However, if you want to take it a step further and categorize your calculations, you would have to do this. And when I say, okay, here we go, where I'm at. Okay. When I say categorize your calculations, I need the sum by, let me look at my data. Keep that. Yeah. I want the sum. Let's actually go to average. I want the average. Let's see if I want the average by order status. That way, that is what I mean by categorize your data. I have my calculation, but I also have it categorized as well. Therefore, you get a question like, how much what's the average order of, what's the average amount of orders that are currently pending or, whatever. In the event that you have to categorize your calculations, you will have to use a group by. And group by literally groups your calculation. Literally, like it says group by, that's literally what it's doing. Now, when you have your group by, or when you have your syntax, so we got our syntax here, select this column. Here's our aggregate function, count this column as total orders. This what you just did, right? You did sum of total amount as whatever your thing was. So if I'm gonna group it by another column, I have to add that column in my select statement too. Because when I'm grouping it, when I have it in my select statement, that means it's going to show up in my output as well. So here, this syntax, I'm selecting customer. Then I'm calculating count, order ID as total orders from my sales table. Group by customer. Calculate these orders, but group it by this customer. And this is going to be my output right here all day long. I got my customer because I told it pull that customer. I got my total orders because I got my count as total order. That's what I told it to bring in my output. So when you group by something, it's literally literally grouping it by that column. Calculate it like this, but group it by that column though. Any questions? I'm gonna actually keep this up as you go through. Also, another point of reference. Anytime you have an aggregate function, any column that is not in your aggregate function, but it's in your select statement, you gotta have it down here. As a matter of fact, the system, you're gonna keep getting the error and it's gonna keep telling you, put this column, it's not group by, it's not aggregate function. You have to have it grouped by or an aggregate function. Like they have to, whatever's in your select statement that's not an aggregate function, you gotta group it. Let me go to my data. Okay. Do you have any questions?
Not yet.
Okay. Okay. So this one, it's in the same database. We're gonna stay actually in the same database. But the use case essentially like what is the average amount by payment method? So the first thing you need to do is do your data investigation and find your table that houses that data. Either expand your columns or right click it and select your top 1000 rows to look at your data. But which columns, which tables answers that question? What column what table do you think answers that question? Did I write in the chat? Let me see. Yeah.
Sure.
You say you're not sure?
Yeah, I'm not sure because it says payment. What is the average amount by payment method?
Mm-hmm. Which of those tables houses the payment method?
Okay, maybe. Oh, sorry, I didn't scroll down. I was just looking at order details and orders. My bad. It's the payment table.
Yep. Yep. Now select your top 1,000 rows. So you done your data investigation. You found your tables. Now select your top 1,000 rows and answer the question. Answer the question with your code.
Okay.
What is the average amount by payment method? So I want the average amount, but I want it grouped by payment method.
Right.
Yep. So let me know if you need me. I knew once you saw that payment table, you were like, girl. And let me know if you want to talk through it. Let me see my screen. Okay. Yeah, just let me know if you want to talk through it.
Okay, I think I got it.
Okay. Do you mind sharing your code?
Sure.
And I ain't gonna lie, group by and having is the next one. They used to have me confused too. Let me see. Yep, yep. Now you see how on the last time we had an aggregate function and from table. That's it. But this
Hmm.
time you're able to categorize whatever you just calculated.
Yeah.
Now, in the event, like how we just talked about them logical operators, you can still put where the payment date is between this, where the payment method is this, where whatever. You literally build that right in here. So you literally are like stacking your code until you have like a full analysis.
Right.
Okay, I see you. You feel comfortable with that?
Yes, I do.
Okay. You did good. You on fire tonight, girl.
I'm trying.
You doing really well. I've been seeing you on LinkedIn too. So having is a filter too, but when I say having, I'm talking about group. I'm talking about filtering based on my aggregate function, not based on the column, not where payment date. I'm saying we're having, like for example, this one having some amount greater than 300, not the amount. I'm not saying where amount. I'm saying having. And the reason how I literally say it in my head every single time is Having, when you say having, you have to have your stuff together. Like it's the aggregate function. You're filtering on the aggregate function. So you're filtering on the actual calculation, not the column itself. So having is used after group by to filter the group results based on the aggregate function. So when we have where filters on those individual rows, those individual columns. Having filters on those columns combined. Here we have this one, select customer. This our aggregate function right here. Sum the amount of this column as total spent from this table. Group by, because you still group it. You still got to group it. Group by customer having this sum amount greater than 300. So I didn't say where amount greater than 300 because when you look at our data, ain't no amount greater than 300. I'm saying having some amount greater than 300. So that's the difference. Any questions? And this is like a chart that I put up here, like where allows you to filter individual rows before grouping, like where this condition is met, and like how we've been doing it all ever since we've been here, basically. Having groups after the aggregation. Your data has to be aggregated to use having. Example, where amount is greater than 100. Having, this is an example, having some amount greater than 300. Any questions? Okay. I am going to give you this use case. Provide me the average price of provide me the average price of furniture category where the average price is greater than 500. Okay. So provide me, and this is actually in our products table. I'll tell you that because the column's kind of ambiguous. So we're in our products table. So provide me with the average price of furniture. I say furniture category because I wasn't gonna tell you the table, but it don't matter. Of category, provide me the average price of category based on category where the average price is greater than 500. So the average price, but I want the average price. I want that categorized by category, but I only want the data where the average price is greater than 500. Okay, perfect. And let me know if you want to talk through it. Anybody got any questions? Y'all all right?
Um, I'm still trying to figure it out before I ask you my question. Even though, but it's coming. The question is coming.
Okay. Don't overthink it now. If you want you need to ask something, just ask. Just ask it. You don't have to do this alone.
Okay, I'm gonna just ask it then.
Okay.
So I'm stuck on the furniture part. Like, would I put group by category is furniture
Mm-mm.
or
You don't even have to. Don't even disregard. I put furniture. Literally keep it grouped by category and
okay,
stop
okay,
there.
okay.
I put that furniture because I was not gonna tell you the table, but the tables are kind of ambiguous in this database. So I was like, I'll tell you the table on that one. Because if I give you a payments use case, you know where payments gonna come from. But
Mm-hmm.
when it gets into other stuff, it can be kind of ambiguous. But literally stop at group by category, like you said.
Okay.
You were on the right track.
Okay, I was okay. Good.
I knew you were overthinking it.
Okay, I think I did it.
Okay.
Okay.
Let me see. Let me put you on my big screen so I can see. Um, yes. Yep.
Yay.
Yes, ma'am. The only feedback I would have for you is
Mm-hmm.
instead of I mean, which it works, and this is why I focus on like application as opposed to memorization, because you're clearly applying this, you're getting what you need all day long, 100%. The only feedback that I would have is use the cat. You could have used the category on line 5 instead of retyping it, but it's not a
Okay. Mm-hmm.
it's not a deal breaker. Your code works. It's beautiful. It's structured correctly. I like it's clean. I can look at this and tell exactly what it's doing. You even, maintain the level of consistency. This is perfect. I can look at this and tell exactly what it's doing. So good job. Now, how do you feel about this? How do you feel about that, Ayo?
I feel good. Like the same thing. I just need to really practice
Practice.
it, understand it, but I feel comfortable with it.
Hmm. You're doing very well. Very well. See. So, okay. So tonight our objectives were aggregate functions, categorizing those aggregate functions, logical operators. Oh yeah. Logical operators, your logical operators still can go right. You build them right into the having average price greater than 500. Then you go into where, whatever your filters are, you still essentially are layering. Like, think about it like you're literally layering a cake or layering something until you get to the meat of what you're trying to analyze. So tonight it was aggregate functions, categorizing those aggregate functions with the group by and the having, and applying those logical operators to get into the advanced filtering concept part of your analysis. So from this moment on, we've laid the foundation basically. Session one, introduction, those DML languages, that's the foundation. Session two, we're getting into the analysis part. Give me the sum of this. What's the average of that? We're getting into the analysis part. So session three is when we're going to get into the intermediate concepts. Session three, which is next week, we are going to focus on joins, case statements, subqueries, and I think that's it. So I think we got one more thing, but it gets more into that advanced concept. Now, in between now and next week, still practice like you've been doing. Still continue to practice because everything literally is just going to continue to build upon what we've already been exposed to and applied thus far.
Okay.
And I see you very active on LinkedIn. I see, like every time I open it up, I'm like, oh, she ain't playing. So continue to do that because that's how that's how it makes it real. Like it puts it right in your ballpark. It takes it from like, oh, this is just code on the screen to like, oh, let me relate this back to something I'm already doing or I already know.
Right.
So I do the same. That's how I learned too. I just was analyzing, stuff that interests me,
Yeah.
Yeah. But you're doing very well. And do you have any questions for me?
Um, the only question I had was about the portfolio, but I was gonna wait till our like session to talk about it more.
Okay. Yeah, I'll meet with you in depth. I'll meet with you in depth. And if
Oh, also, sorry.
no, I was gonna say, and if you I think I had a cancellation or I can push somebody back if you wanted to meet before Wednesday.
Oh,
But
yes, that'd be nice.
email me so it can be at the top of my inbox and I'll look
Okay.
tomorrow morning. Yeah. What were you about to say though?
Um, I've noticed like on LinkedIn there'll be like SQL interview questions and stuff. So I'm like, okay, I don't know. I only know a couple of these terms. So
Hmm.
could you also like run that with me as well, just to like familiarize, or like how would you suggest I learn like some of those terms and different things?
By doing what you're doing.
Okay.
When I say that you're doing exactly what you need to do, you are. Continue to apply, continue to read things. Like at this point, what I've noticed is that like while people are learning it, they low key become obsessed with it.
Mm-hmm.
Like even and the reason I literally get on LinkedIn, I'm like, I see y'all like this cohort, I see previous cohorts. I can tell that like y'all are literally like sequel. I can literally tell. That's it. Because the best way for you to learn is get your hands in there, what you're doing.
Right.
Because it makes it click for you. Also, another advice, a word of advice that I would give you is to do continue on the path that you're doing. Keep practicing, keep reading, keep researching. Also, just start getting yourself out there, like putting yourself out there. Start actually setting yourself up to where you can go on interviews and stuff. Because some, I actually think you're doing very well. And some interviews are different.
Mm-hmm.
Like I've been on a wide range to the point where we might not we're super technical And I've also done like hundreds of like technical assessments. The way that I facilitate these sessions are very reminiscent of live technical sessions. Very reminiscent. It's always somebody on the other end, and they give you a pseudo data set, and they
Mhm.
give you a use case, and they like, okay, so can you give me the average price of this? Can you give me that? Can you give me whatever? It's very much so almost to the T. It is like that. So keep doing this type of work, keep researching, keep looking, but also start to put yourself out there because each interview it will be can be totally different. It ain't a
Mhm.
blue, it's not a blueprint. It's not a blueprint. You have some hiring managers who have the personality to where, in my experience, tech is very laid back.
Mhm.
So you have some managers that really ain't trying to interview you anyway.
Mhm.
Like that are like, okay, let's have a conversation. Because when you have been in a field for so long, I can have a conversation. Like I sit on interview panels. You can have a conversation with somebody and kind of tell if they really know what they're talking about.
Mhm.
Also, and that's another thing, if you don't know something, say that. Don't be in there feeling like you have to know everything. Just say that, or say, oh, maybe I refer to it like this, because that's another thing as well. People refer to things differently too.
Mhm.
So just say that. Just be honest about, your comfort level. And if it's something that you're uncomfortable with, if it's something you ain't never heard of, say, well, maybe I call it this, or maybe I call it that. But just
Mhm.
put yourself out there and kind of start literally getting out there and see what type of questions you get. Because
Okay.
I see the type of stuff you talking about all the time. I've been on very technical interviews, but as far as like somebody sending me like, what is this? What is that? It's more or less like a lot of times they're conversational, unless you are in an actual technical assessment. Which, if you're in a technical assessment, you'll know beforehand. They not gonna spring it on you.
Okay.
But in my experience, it's like conversational type things to kind of
Right.
gauge, where you are. And then you might get pushed over to, you have to do a live tech screening, which is like what you do now, which is why I do y'all like this. So the first time you do it is not for an interview. Like you've done it before, you've been there before,
Mhm.
so it's like it feels natural to you. But
Yeah.
keep doing what you're doing. You are very much so doing the right things. Very
Okay.
much
Great.
so.
Yeah.
Keep reading, keep lurking on LinkedIn, keep engaging on LinkedIn and YouTube, everything. Just there's not a wrong way to get your information, but don't become so overstimulated with the noise either. Focus on your stuff and know what you know because you're doing a very good job. You're applying these concepts, and that's the goal.
Okay. Got it.
Yeah, I am very confident that like we're 2 sessions in. I can tell that like you're exposed. I can tell you've been doing the work. I can tell all of it. So keep doing it. Keep applying because that's what
Okay.
matters.
All right. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. I'm super proud of you. Super proud of you. Super proud of all y'all.
Hey, can you hear
Hey.
me?
Mhm.
I want to get on your schedule. How do I go about scheduling for?
The link, my consultation link.
Okay.
Yep, it's in my signature on my email.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yep. Yep, yep, yep. Any questions anymore? All right. Good night, y'all. Y'all did real good.
Good
Thank
night.
you.
Thank you.
See
I'll
y'all.
email you tonight.
Huh?
About, I said I'll email you tonight about
I'll check out in the morning for you. Yep. So it can be in my inbox at the top of my inbox tomorrow.
Okay. All
All
right.
right.
Bye.
Bye, y'all. All right. Thank y'all for joining me tonight. Whoever is here, I can't see. It's like blasted everywhere. Thank you for joining me tonight. To introduce myself, my name is Lorita Shaw. I'm a senior data engineer, and I'm also the founder of Data Analytics Simplified. where I support those that are non-traditional. I'm non-traditional. So I support those that are non-traditional like myself, fully transition into the field of data analytics. What you said in on tonight is actually one of my live technical sessions where I teach SQL in a hands-on live interactive format. We learn together, we debug, we write our code, we talk through things together. And I've been here for 2 hours, so I'm out. Good night. You can follow me on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok. I think that's it. But anyway, bye. Good night. Thank you.